call the roll, that'd be great.
Trustee Anson,
Here.
Trustee Dorau,
Here.
Trustee Myers,
Here.
Trustee Walschlager,
Here.
Trustee Ledke,
Here.
Trustee Connor,
Here.
President Vanderstel.
Here. At this time on our agenda, we have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Trustee Dorau.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States
of America, to the
To the
republic,
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all. At this time, if we do have any public that are on that would like to give public comments for items that are not on the agenda. Seeing as there are none, we'll move into the meeting. Just to touch on, I'm sure everybody remembers, we've already done this before, so everybody just kind of remembers, we just got to be very cognizant of the fact that with it being Zoom, we just kind of think of it like a baton when someone's talking and we pass that baton and we don't talk if we don't have that baton, so to speak, or if you don't have the floor, so that everybody can keep track and try to throw your name in to make it easy for anybody to know who's speaking. With that, our first item on the agenda are comments from Municipal Judge Timothy Kay regarding the Lake Country Municipal Court. My understanding is he has not zoomed in yet. Is that correct, Administrator Rhodey?
He
I'm
just joined us.
Okay. Judge Kay, at this time, the floor would be yours.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you so much for letting me appear by Zoom. It seems to be the trend in the last month. As you're probably aware, Circuit Court is pretty much all operating by Zoom. We're trying to get our pre-trial conferences by telephone at our courthouse, motions by Zoom. So we're kind of all in tune with all of that stuff. Now, usually I try to meet with the boards earlier in the year, but we got delayed. I sent you a copy of my letter. So hopefully your clerk passed out to all the other board members, kind of an update. But basically, try to outline that for budget purposes, all of the municipalities have passed the budget. It's a good thing. Last year, we were about $16,000 in the black as compared to our expenses versus income. And our income was up by $16,000. Our expenses were down by about 10. I'm not sure why our expenses were down, but they just were. And I really don't try to figure that one out too much. It's just, they're down. So we had about a $26,000 swing. So what that basically means is that the accountants and the financial people, they'll be able to basically roll that surplus into next year's budget purposes. That's important because now we're going to be building the new courtroom along with the city. And so we've got expenses to cover for that. So that's all a good thing. The new courthouse seems to be going along just fine. We rent from the city. So they've kept us in the process of our build out area. We exchange a lot of emails about what goes in there, what doesn't go in there. I'm not very good at building it, but phone lines will be in, the clerks will have a great area, and the courtroom will be wonderful. Last year, we started contracting with the Waukesha County Sheriff bailiffs, or sheriff's deputies for bailiffs support during court procedures. They do an excellent job. They show up in full uniform. They have all their sheriff gear on. There's been a couple incidents where they've had to kind of stand there and kind of interject themselves a little bit between the people and the court and the people and the clerks. They do a great job. They just stand there and they just give that sheriff stare, and things are calmed down, and it's a good thing. So I can't say enough about those guys. As far as your citations, they had a couple of trials, quite a few motions. I believe the village has been successful in almost all their trials, all their motions. My clerks don't like me to talk about money, but I know that I'm appearing before the village trustees, and that's the first thing the trustees usually ask is, what about money? And it looks like, I believe last year, 2019, I think the village of Hartland received about $79,000 in fine money. There's no cost to the village to operate in our court. We keep $33 basically per citation. I attached my pie chart to the back of my report that shows how you break down what goes to the state, what goes to the county, what goes to the jail, and then what goes back to the village. So it's a good system. Doesn't cost the village anything to participate. Our numbers appear to be up. Now, with that being said, in the last month with COVID-19, it'll probably affect us budget-wise later down the road. We're not sure yet. We'll see how it plays out. Our 2 part-time clerks are on furlough. Our full-time clerks are still working full-time. They're at home. We bought them a phone so they can work at home, and their computers are able to, their home computers, their laptops are able to communicate with the large mainframe computers at the office. So they seem to be able to keep up with all their duties. We adjourned a lot of hearings for April, but now starting May 15th, we're collecting telephone numbers. We'll be able to do initial appearances, hopefully by phone. And pre-trials have been conducted already between your prosecutor and the defense attorneys by telephone as well. And then for motions, we'll be doing those by Zoom. Trials we haven't figured out yet, but my plan is to try to get all of the backlog of pre-trials caught up, motions caught up. So beginning or the middle of May, when we get back into our real court, we'll be able to have the prosecutors and myself just concentrate on all the initial appearances and get caught up. So that's it for the court. Any questions, you can always ask me. You can always ask my clerks. If you ask me any hard questions, I say this every year, I usually ask my clerks because they know the hard answers. And Torrin Driscoll, your captain, he is part of our operations committee. I'm not a voting member of that, but I participate. We meet once a month. And Torrin can tell you, we're very active on keeping up with COVID-19 and all the new changes and the courtroom and all that stuff. So things are operating good.
Trustee Myers, Judge, the 16,000 was a profit. Now, how much more is it going to cost us to go to the new building?
Well, we don't call it a profit, we call it a surplus, okay? But our fixed costs will stay about the same. So if you want, I can give you a copy of our budget. Our budget is about $350,000. That's our cost for rent to the city, myself, the clerks, insurance, copier, all that stuff. We haven't gotten the actual lease yet from the city, but our current lease payments to the city is about $25,000. We expect that our lease agreement may be increased to about $45,000, $50,000.
Doubled?
Yes.
Double, and that, they made the decision to double it by going to that?
Well, we still haven't seen the lease yet from the city, so presumably the city's drafting that. I think they're more focused on building the building, and they'll give us their sample lease, I would expect, in a month or two. Our operations committee would have to review that, and then I think the administrative body, that's all 20 of the municipalities, would have to approve of that. And we talked about that a little bit last year. We had some formulas to come up with. In the event we were a little bit short, so we talked about formulas on how to make that up. But based upon every year, our number of citations they increase. So we always say, well, our budget is 345, and then we bring in 350. And our budget is 350, we bring in 360. So every year we've been going up a little bit more. So we're guessing that our increases will be able to help pay for that. Our increase in our citations will be able to help pay for that lease increase.
So that 16,000 was gone already because that wouldn't cover the additional fee, right?
Well, the 16,000 is like in our checking account. And so that will be rolled over into next year's, like a surplus. It'll be rolled over into this, I don't know, current year. So let's say the city charges an extra, 25,000 bucks. If they did, we were already 16,000 towards that. But good questions. I really don't know the answers. We're gonna kind of get through it 1 month at a time, and then COVID-19 is gonna slow everything down. It's just, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I think the police are kind of just, they're doing a great job. But I think the number of contacts that they're having with citizens have lessened, and rightfully so. They're trying to stay healthy for, the big thing. So less contacts, less tickets, less revenue.
Does anybody else have any questions for Judge Kay? Thank you for coming in to speak to us and to answer any questions. And as Judge Kay has said, any trustee at any time, or anyone from the village, can reach out to the courts to ask any questions that may arise even after this meeting.
Yeah.
But we can call and get clarifications on anything that anybody might want, or answer questions, things of that nature. So thank you for coming in, Judge Kay.
Thank you very much.
Judge Kay.
Everybody stay safe.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
now.
you.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is a consideration of a motion to approve the village board minutes from the April 13th, 2020 meeting.
I make a motion to approve the village board minutes of April 13, 2020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, Myers, Walschlager, to approve the minutes from our last meeting. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? That's unanimous. Our next item on the agenda is a motion to approve our vouchers for payments in the amount of $166,402.62. $166,402.62. I'm not sure if I said it right the first time.
I'll move to approve the vouchers for last month for the payment of $166,402.62.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the vouchers. Connor, Anson, any discussion?
Walschlager has a question.
Go ahead.
Under financial administration, the insurances for MPIC was 29,000. Is that what insurance? Oh, I'm sorry. Page 2. I'm just curious, what insurance is that for financial administration?
All of our insurance goes under that account. So the MPIC insurance is what is our overall, I don't want to say it's our property insurance. It covers all the buildings, grounds, everything associated with any of our buildings, any of our water towers, any of our lift stations, anything like that. That is the cost for that.
And that's the annual cost?
It is, correct.
Does that also include liability if somebody gets hurt on, let's say, a water tower?
Liability would fall under our general liability insurance that we have with R&R insurance through.
Okay. So then this covers what? Just like if lightning hits something and breaks it?
All the property, all the buildings, all the park equipment, everything of that nature. It's our property insurance.
Okay.
We also have auto insurance. We have general liability insurance, all different categories.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Ludke, I have a question.
Floor is yours.
For Ryan Bailey, just a quick question of clarification on page 2, under the expense for financial administration, that looks like a line item for COVID-19 expenses. Can you just give me an overview of what kind of items would be placed in that?
Sure. Any items that are eligible under the reimbursement, a lot of them are masks. They might be hand sanitizer. There were items for the election that were eligible. We're coding everything regardless of what department it is to that COVID-19 account, so that when we do have to submit reimbursement, we have all of that information in one place so that we're not looking all over. I don't know exactly what that item was. How much was it?
Oh, it was just the 322. I just wanted to make sure the public knew what that line item was.
Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All in favor of approving the vouchers for payments in the amount of $166,402.62. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. That passes. The next item we have on the agenda is consideration of actions related to licenses and permits, consideration of an application for operator bartenders licenses with a term ending June 30th, 2020. This is for Caitlin Luffenberg.
Can I ask a question? This is Trustee Walschlager.
You may.
It expires June 30th, so it expires in what, 2 months?
Yes,
Do they pay the full price for this just for 2 months, an annual fee?
I think so. I would defer to Administrator Rhodey on that.
Oh, Darlene is by far our queen of bartender licenses.
Yes, they do. They pay for the full period of time.
Even with the bars closed right now, why would someone, well, whatever.
I believe this may be one that is for a gas station.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense then. Okay. I make a motion to approve, this is Trustee Walschlager, to approve the bartender license for Caitlin Laufenberg.
I'll second. This is Trustee Ludke.
It's been moved by Walschlager, seconded by Ludke. Any discussion on that permit? Operator's license, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item we have on the agenda is the first reading of a bill for an ordinance 427-2020, an ordinance to amend Chapter 38, Fire Prevention and Protection of the Village of Hartland Municipal Code.
So I'm going to talk logistics real quick and then turn it over to Division Chief Jammeritz. But as you know, when we do a new ordinance, we do require 3 readings. So this would be the first reading. There is obviously no commitment that the village board will pass this. It's just a proposal that the staff is putting in front of the village board in the form of the first reading. So this is by no means trying to in any way try to say that this is something that's happening. It's something that the staff would like consideration and would appreciate doing, but it's the process is the process. So it is the first reading. It's in front of us by state statute. The village board, any city council or village board has the right to determine the number of inspections per year. Fire department, we currently had been trying to do 2 fire inspections per year, which is kind of standard. The trend of late for sure is going down to 1 inspection. And so that's an item that Division Chief Jammeritz came. And I guess with that, I will turn it over to Division Chief Jammeritz.
Yeah, any questions on that? Just to kind of lay the groundwork, we do 613 inspections per 6 months. So it's 1,226 inspections a year. And that's not including re-inspections if there are any things that we write up on it. So 1,226 divided up by my 3 full-time employees is 400 and some per every 6 months that they're doing. And that's on top of running calls, which average about 3 to 4 a day at some times. And last year we were like 500 short of making our 2 inspections a year. So did a little research on that. All of the communities around us are doing it. They had gone down to 1 inspection a year. It's just so much easier for us to get them done. It doesn't affect our 2% dues, where if we go a couple of years of not doing all of our inspections, they could take part of that 2% dues away from us. So in prevention of that, I was kind of hoping to get it down to one inspection a year, and we've got 15 months from our last inspection, so that gives us plenty of time. We also have to work with the businesses to get in there, obviously, during their work hours. I mean, our full-timers are here 24 hours, but generally they can only get into the businesses generally between 7 and 4:30. So it's kind of tough for them to get their 400 done a year when they're trying to run calls and then do those inspections, which some of the bigger businesses will take over an hour to do to get a thorough inspection of those businesses.
Any questions for Chief?
I mean, I guess I do have a question. During the inspections, how often do you find violations?
I'd have to look back in our records, but I think there were maybe 200 violations last year total, and some of them are just minor fire extinguishers that hadn't been inspected in over a year, minor things that can be taken care of right away. I know we did have a couple of bigger violations that we got back to, and they had remedied most of them, and then they were given an extension, and by that time they got them all taken care of. But just a matter of us having to go back. Then that one building we had to go back 3 times for. So most of the stuff we write up, I said, are just smaller things that we've found on our inspections, and they can get those taken care of within the 3-month time period. We can come back and check them off and be done.
So every violation requires a return visit, correct? No
Correct.
matter how minor or major
Correct.
it is? Okay,
Yes.
Gotcha.
Anybody else? So at this time, if someone wanted to, now would be the time to make a motion. Actually, no, we just do the reading. We actually don't need a motion, correct? I'm sorry, everybody. So we've done our reading. No one else has any questions for Chief? Okay. Items referred from the April 20th, 2020 Plan Commission meeting. Consideration of a motion to approve installation of a bulk nitrogen supply system at ICOM Inc. at 455 East Industrial Drive.
So if everyone's familiar with this site, it's basically due west, right behind the Piggly Wiggly business park or strip mall, whatever you want to call it. It is in the industrial park, and this is a pretty tall item for sure. We did work with our building inspector, and we did talk to the property owner and the leasee to see if there were any other options. And ultimately, this is the tank that we kind of mutually agreed upon would meet their needs and be as less as intrusive as possible to the neighborhood. Again, it is in the industrial park. It is behind a building, so visibility is very low. It's not like there's a neighborhood here that would be affected by it, but it did need Plan Commission and full village board approval because of the height of the tank.
Question I have is, Trustee Meyer said, Chief, is this a hazardous situation here? Are you comfortable with that? And have you been involved in the protection that's been put around there to keep it safe?
I've just read the thing, the board packet, to see everything in that meets everything that I could look up and find quickly to meets all the standards for protection of that. Yes.
So we don't need any special equipment in case there's a problem with that, right?
No. A spill that big, that would be probably a Milwaukee hazmat call. We'd put our fingers up and see how close we are to it and then get back.
Excuse me. Anybody else? And this was referred to us from the Plan Commission, so go ahead if someone would like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the installation of the bulk nitrogen supply system at ICOM.
Walschlager seconds.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the installation of the bulk nitrogen supply system at 455 East Industrial Drive. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. The next item we have on the agenda is consideration of a motion to approve an application for a sports pavilion for Lake Country Lutheran at 401 Campus Drive. This item was also reviewed and referred for passage to us from the Plan Commission.
Yeah, real quick, I'll jump in. We've been working with the Growth Design Group, the architect, in Lake Country Lutheran here since I've got here. Probably had 3 or 4 different meetings. They've been coming forward, a lot of plans, a lot of future plans, and a lot of smart planning they're doing for their whole campus, trying to make things tie in together as they grow into the future. One of the items that was not able to be built when they did their last build out of sports fields was the concession stand restroom, and so they're coming forward with that project here now. Pretty nice, pretty standard concession building. We've all probably sold brats and burgers out of them and done all that stuff. So this is pretty. It is not a prefab. It is something that is designed, so it's a little nicer than the normal one. But it's located directly behind the bleachers, so it's kind of hidden from the road. Really shouldn't have too much of an impact, and the Plan Commission did vote to move it on to the full village board.
Trustee Ludke, I'd like to put a motion on the floor to approve the sports pavilion for Lake Country Lutheran at 401 Campus Drive.
Trustee Anderson, second.
It's been moved by Ludke, seconded by Anton, I believe.
Yes.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. The next item we have on the agenda is a consideration of board, commission, committee appointments as presented by myself, the village president. I do have one thing, actually I have 2 that I want to address with you guys. I made an assumption and I shouldn't have. One of the appointments that you'll see on the list that Darlene pointed out, and I'll go through this list in a second, I had put Trustee Connor on the Delhart board without consulting him. That appointment will not be part of the Delhart board. I also want to add, it was something that I caught at the very last minute. I thought that we had done it last year or the year before, but regardless, Chip Schneeberger is up for reappointment on the Plan Commission this year, along with the appointments that you see under Plan Commission. I did not catch that, and I apologize greatly, but I would like to, along with the Plan
Yep, I
Commission.
lost you.
What?
Oh, hang on. Ann, are you still there? You're muted, Ann.
I can't hear.
Oh, there you go. You're
Can you hear
back.
me
You're
now?
unmuted.
Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
I can't hear Jeff. I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me? Are you muted? Your Wi-Fi might be moving a little
Yeah,
slow.
I think it's her internet.
And you're currently muted.
Now can you hear me,
There you go.
Ann?
Can you hear us, Ann?
She keeps hitting it. Now you're unmuted. Talk. Can you hear us, Ann? No.
I don't think she can hear us.
Darlene, hold on a second. Oh, you're asking, can she hear us? Okay, that's a chat.
She looks frozen to me. I don't know. On my screen.
Yeah,
she
I
looks
agree.
frozen.
And is that what happened with me when I fell out? Like all of a sudden the Wi-Fi goes bad? Okay. If it's okay with the board, if you guys would like me to wait, I will. The list was sent out. If I could continue, I will. Otherwise, if you prefer I wait, I can do that. Anybody have an opinion? Should I keep going?
I think we can go.
Keep going.
Okay. I was just simply saying that I made a mistake with putting Trustee Connor without consulting with him for Delhart, and I didn't have it on the list that Chip is also up, or according to the website, Chip is up, which is the last name Schneeberger. I know Chip is actually it's Jim. I believe James is his first name, Schneeberger. Everybody calls him Chip, but he will be on the Plan Commission in his continued spot as well. So if I just go down the list, you guys can, you would have to make the motions. I'm not going to vote on it. I'm putting forth the nominations and just asking. But for the Environmental Corridor and Open Spaces Committee, as we get that thing off the ground, it would be Mike Myers, Chip Schneeberger, or James Schneeberger, Jim Munzenberger, and Linda Hallquist. Plan Commission for appointments that would be, they end on 4/30/2020, so the beginning of the new term. So these appointments would start on 5/1, would be Ann Walschlager as a village board appointee. Dino Zekis would take the place of Timothy Fenner, who has been on the board for 3 years. And then Chip also for Plan Commission. Just to throw in there, Tim Fenner was an attorney. He was put in when they pulled the Rupert Milky Village engineer off.
I'm back.
Okay, I'm just going through the list, and
Okay,
Dino,
my computer died on me. I'm on
Okay.
a different one.
okay, Dino Zekis is he was on the board for the architectural board for Mary Hill. He's got a PhD in engineering, mechanical engineering. So I don't know how much that's going to actually help on the necessarily the Plan Commission, but he is. It does show that he has carries some intelligence. I do know him. He seems to care. He's actually been at quite a few meetings before because stuff was going on up in Mary Hill. But as I said, I'm just putting forth these names to you guys, hoping that you'll approve them. Parks and Rec Board for appointments starting 5/1/2020. Rick Connor would be the village board appointment. Tina Bromberger is the citizen appointment, and Reginald Lawson would be a citizen appointment. Delhart would be trustees Anson, Dorau, and Myers. Fannerstill would be the alternate. I will request that you give me a little bit of time to figure out what's the best measure for filling Trustee Connor's seat, because he's currently on that board. Board of Review, and if I say a name for anyone, I didn't end up calling every single person. If you don't want to be on something, we don't necessarily need to say it right now. You can call me and say, Jeff, I don't want that, or I want this, but I'm trying to not be confusing. I'm sorry. Board of Review is Trustee Ludke. She's the citizen appointment. Trustee Myers is the village trustee. This is effective in May at some point. We don't always know the exact date, or it may have been sent. Obviously, the clerk, the village president, and the finance director are automatic appointments, so you don't have to approve those three, but the trustees, definitely. Police and Fire Commission, I'm asking your time to continue there. The person that is up on the Police and Fire Commission, I cannot get hold of them. Their phone has been disconnected. It is John Wojciechowski. I have served on the bid board with him, and it's my understanding that he is moving out of the village, or already has moved out of the village. So I'm going to need some more time to make sure that I, do that appropriately and try to get someone that's would be a good fit, because that's a 5-year appointment. So that's my spiel.
Jeff, could you back up? I lost connection when you were talking about Chip
Yep.
being on the planning commission.
Yep.
Is he's staying or not? I didn't
Yeah,
hear what you said.
I didn't catch it when I was making this list. I thought that we had gone through the appointment last year or the year before where Chip got reappointed.
Okay.
But it turns out on the website, it says 2020. His appointment is up. I missed it. I made a mistake.
Okay.
But I said I would like to put that forth as a nomination in front of the trustees of the board.
So you just need a motion then?
Yeah, I think you would want to definitely, because of my mistakes, I think that you definitely, even if whether you want to take it board by board or however you want to do it, it's completely up to you guys. I'm not actually going to vote. You know, just as long as it's clear on what your intention is, so that the seconder, whoever seconds a motion, can also, you know, make sure that it's clear that they know exactly what they're putting on and that nothing gets missed.
All right. Well, I'll make a motion to approve board, commission, and committee appointments presented by you tonight. If whoever wants a second, it needs clarification, I can go through each one, but I don't know if it's necessary.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
I would just ask that in that motion, we add something to the effect of pending the changes that, you know, President Vanderstel mentioned when presenting it, as there's some missing names on the actual PDF that was sent, Rick.
Okay. All right, so into the motion to, it's pending clarification from Jeff on missing names in the PDF for his direction.
Second.
Yep. So it's been moved and seconded along with the clarification by Trustee Ludke. Any other questions or any discussion at all on any of these or on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Those would pass then. Since she is on, I am going to ask, I think I have talked with Darlene some, our clerk. She is clearing it. Darlene, tomorrow, or Administrator Rhodey, could we get a list so that it is very clear for the trustees on who is going to what spot as we just put forth tonight, just so that it's black and white? I don't want anybody to all of a sudden say, hey, I didn't realize, you know, I think it's always good to really put it out there. Would that be possible?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So that passes. The next, okay, we have announcements. We have a couple things along with announcements that we're going to talk about. But first, I'll let anybody, well, let's go right into the discussion part of the announcement. So one of the things that we need to discuss is to, I'd like to at least put discussion or action on making any changes to our liquor licenses. I'd like to put that on the agenda for the next meeting. I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Rhodey because I think that he'll be able to put in more clear why we're requesting that.
Sure, it's come up as we've been on calls with the League of Municipalities, and we've been on calls with other administrators, southeastern Wisconsin, really all over the state. One topic that's come up, and the state did take action to allow the changing of the liquor license fee. So right now, it's currently, the state mandates that the minimum fee that a municipality can charge is $50. Again, just so everyone's on the same page, we're talking about the fee for a tavern. So this is bar, restaurant, the liquor license. The minimum that the state mandates that we charge is $50. The maximum is $500. Like every other community in southeastern Wisconsin, we charge $500. Many communities are looking at lowering that amount based on those being closed, kind of that hardship that has caused those businesses. Timing, I will say timing tends to be everything in life. It happens to be when these licenses are being renewed. So there's a lot of discussion in the municipal world of, hey, is it appropriate to give them a break this year? Maybe lower that down. Some communities lowered it down prorated based on how many months taverns and bars were closed. Other communities just dropped it to the $50 minimum. for a 1 year as kind of an economic incentive. It's really up, I mean, it's a total board decision. Your range is $50 is the low side you can legally go, or keep it at $500 where it currently is. So.
I don't know, are we open to having discussion right now on that, Tim, or is that something that has to be held over until the next meeting and everybody at least knows this is coming?
Yep, I don't think you could vote on it tonight. I think we just wanted to get that discussion out, maybe have everybody reach out to the local bars and restaurants, see what they think of that. Again, it's, with everything that a board does, there's pros and cons to it. Obviously, one nice thing is it's few businesses were called out, like the bar restaurant industry was during this COVID crisis, to close. So it's nice to get to look and try to find a way to help them. On the flip side, as we all know, anytime you do, no good deed goes unpunished. Anytime you do something nice for one group of businesses, you have to try to strike a balance or justify that to the other businesses. So.
Tim, this is Trustee Walschlager. Do we have 1 or 2 licenses out there that are, what are they, 10,000 because we ran out? Don't we have some that are higher? And what would we do with those?
We do, but that's just a one-time fee.
Oh, it is. And then they
Yeah.
go to the regular 500?
Then it's 500 every year after that
Okay.
for renewal.
Sorry.
Boy, would that be great.
I do want to throw in on this, and I'm just throwing this in, and Mr. Rhodey, you're correct. We would not vote on this. I don't want this being taken the wrong way. Jeff, obviously, or Trustee Anson, obviously, this would be one of those situations where it affects you quite a bit. So I think everyone would agree, or I think you yourself would agree. You are able to share your opinion, or I'm going to request you can share your opinion until that next meeting and gather information and let us know information, about whatever you think and whatever your input is. I would ask, or I would think that it's appropriate that even if we were to say, I don't think it's going to make a difference if you voted or not, Jeff, but maybe it would. And I think that would be appropriate on the issue when it does come for voting or discussion when it's on the agenda. I don't want you being upset or feeling slighted, but I think that due to conflict of interest, that this would be appropriate situation to have you act as citizen just for that one item when we vote.
No, I agree.
But that doesn't mean that you can't go gather information and put forth the opinion and talk to other people and say what you want just as a regular citizen for the next 2 weeks. It's not like you got to stay quiet. Okay. Any other things we'll be putting that on the next agenda. And then we have the next item is, did anybody else have anything on liquor licenses? Sorry. Village events calendar update by the village administrator.
So just real quick, part of the packet, kind of the supplemental packet that our clerk was nice enough to put out today to everybody. So if you didn't get a chance to look at the second document in there, that's not a problem. It's just some events that the staff have been talking about, working through, trying to make sure that we're on top of some of these. Some of them are pretty important events to the community, and we're trying to put the information together so that we can be ready to make some decisions. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know if some of these events will even be able to happen, even if we want them to. But we're just, I'll just run through the list real quick and give you some of our thoughts. These are also probably some of the items that people might be asking their elected officials about. So we thought we try to get on the same page with everybody. So first one is open book, which we are going to continue to have. Grode is going to do open book this year on the 19th of May. Don't anticipate anything like last year. I know you guys did a reval, and so open book was very contentious. Typically that happens when you do a reval, but without a reval, typically 3 to 5 people would come in, so that shouldn't be that'd be easy to handle via Zoom or phone or different alternatives. So the other one is the 5K run, which was planned, has been pushed back. The first 5K run, not our 5K run, is pushed back to September. Opening of the parks is a big issue. So right now we have our DPW out there getting some of the park buildings ready, but they are going to remain locked until we get clear direction from the governor. We will be ready to roll, but as of now, we're going to get things set and then leave them locked so that we don't have to worry about what the correct procedure is for how often to clean them and all those good things that haven't been clarified yet. Hand in hand with opening the parks is a splash pad. Currently, Kelly's been working really hard, our rec director, and keeping track of the ever-changing requirements that are out there. But currently, the state of Wisconsin is deeming a splash pad similar to a pool, a community pool. And so currently those are mandated to stay closed under the current order. I've been told both Mike G and Dave Felkner believe there's about 2 days of work to get the splash pad up and running. So if it's July 1st, August 1st, whatever the date that we're able to do that, that can get up and running pretty quick. Moving on to the Beer Snobs event on the 13th of June. That is something that the PD has on their radar. Again, not our event, it's their event. We're coordinating with them to see if that's continuing, but that is something on our radar. So, summer reading kickoff event. Our library did a great job last year opening up and doing a kickoff event when school ended. They had a really nice event to get that program going. Unfortunately, that is going to be canceled this year due to the COVID. Summer rec or summer camp programming. So we are taking registrations. We are not cashing checks, but we are anticipating that hopefully some kind of summer camp program will happen this year for us. It is a very big program. It is a very popular program. We do have employees lined up to work. We do have interested families signed up to participate. We just won't know until the governor gives some better clarification, or the legislature, or whoever's going to give some clarification, depending upon what happens tomorrow at the state Supreme Court. But we are ready. We're ready to roll out those programs. Some communities have walked away from them, decided not to hire people, not to take money and deal with refunds. As of now, we are still up and running, ready to go, hoping that that'll happen. Next topic is a tough one, which is our hometown celebration. We have been in contact with our fireworks vendor, and they are pretty flexible with a cutoff date that we need to either commit or change dates with that vendor. But probably the big item is the parade. Obviously, we would love to have a parade. It's how you showcase your community, and who doesn't love a parade? Whether that parade could go off as it has in the past, we don't know. A unnamed trustee had a very good idea the other day about our hometown parade. Maybe venturing into the community, and instead of having the people of the community come to our downtown and watch the parade, the idea was maybe we take the parade to the community and we do a roaming parade through the community. You've probably seen some of that on social media for birthday parties and different events. That is an idea. The other idea is partnering up with the Chamber of Commerce that has their street fair, their street festival, and possibly pushing our date back and working with them to do something in conjunction with their street festival is another item that we've kicked around with them. But obviously Darlene is very dialed into the parade and some of the challenges. One item that has come up is we haven't gotten a lot of registrations, and we haven't gotten a lot of donations for that parade, mostly because of the COVID, people not knowing if it's going to happen and different items. So those are some of the back office struggles of moving forward full speed with the parade that we wanted to share. The last item is just the farmer's market. We believe that will be able to happen. It's not a village event, but we do permit it. And so that is something that's another item that hopefully we'll be able to open and give an alternative for some healthy eating. So any questions at all about the events coming up, or thoughts or strategies?
I'll just put it on the public record that I am not for changing fireworks or parade at this time unless we see a serious spike in cases, because that thing is going in the right direction, but I truly, in my opinion, do not want to see that get, unless someone's health really was at risk and cases were spiking. I am for keeping it and moving Hartland forward, and especially when that parade hits, everybody's going to need that.
I agree with Jeff.
Any other announcements? Anybody? Mr. Rhodey, any others?
No, we're just, we're continuing, monitoring the situation. Obviously, it's changing by the day, sometimes a couple times a day, but we are continuing to work. We have our rotation going on. We're looking at possibly next week, going away from the rotation, getting everybody back together now that we have a little better understanding of what that means to put everybody in the office, talk about social distancing, masks, all those different safety features, start rolling those out. So that's something we'll be talking about tomorrow at the staff meeting. Otherwise, just a lot of interesting challenges that go along with this, and financial and working with the businesses, the grants that come up, become available, become unavailable, become available again. Trying to get the word out to everybody has been interesting, and certainly seeing the community come together has been a real joy. Not staff, community, everybody working as one is always a positive. So.
Awesome.
Mr. President, I got a couple things if you got a moment.
Go ahead, Chief.
Just wanted a couple quick updates. I know I sent some of this out in my board update at the end of the last week, but we still are at 2 active cases of COVID-19. Like the administrator already said, we are continually watching for changes and different things that are happening with this. The governor actually issued emergency order number 34 today, which is an interim order to turn the dial. Really, the only thing that order does, in my brief overview, is just clarifies 3 areas of the minimum basic operations to some of the curbside drop-off and what that means. That allows some outdoor recreation rentals, and then also allows automatic or self-service car washes. So it's part of the
dog grooming was in there also, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's part of the curbside, is they added any drop-off of goods or animals for the purpose by the business. So they added that in there as well. So new things are coming out. I'm actually part of a group. Our state has, in their effort to get PPE out to the different first responders and healthcare workers, the state is working with counties. I'm part of the PPE group that represents the County Chiefs Association, Police Chiefs Association, and we're getting some protocols in place for that. And that will include all of our healthcare even. So it's not just police and fire or municipal employees, but it's also all of our healthcare, to include hospitals, long-term care facilities, things of that nature. So we're working out a process for that. And all I can say now is we're managing our expectations with what they'll be able to deliver when it comes to that. And I think right now it looks like our smaller long-term care facilities are probably the ones in the most need for PPE.
Thanks, Chief. Anybody else have any announcements?
I just wanted to congratulate the police department and Chief Torn for what he's doing and the great job that they're doing, keeping everything in place and safe, and handling everything with very much professionalism and integrity.
Thank you.
Anybody
I want
else?
to just, I want to just say congratulations to the library, Laura. Great job of being virtual, and I know you're up for awards. Your children's librarian's doing an amazing job with his reading online. It's pretty nice.
Thank you.
I have a question that came up on that, actually. Donna, are you done? I have a question.
I'm done.
I was just gonna ask, how does curbside pickup at the library work? Meaning, are people supposed to call in their books or go online and have them reserved, or can they just pull up and say, this is the book I want, and someone goes and gets it?
Right now, we are having, hi.
Oh, dang.
Right now, we're having our staff call patrons that have things on hold so that we don't have an issue with cars in the parking lot. We do have a plan for if people call and they want something in the building, that then they'll park in the back where the employees park along Haight. And so far it's been going really well. It was almost a regular Monday as far as circulation today. So that's good.
Awesome.
Nice.
If no one else has any more announcements.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a great couple of weeks, everybody. Stay safe.